Hey friends, have you ever been so focused on what's next? What is the next launch for your business or the next bed that you're going to put in your kids' room? Like, how are you going to rearrange that thing now that they're bigger, right? And so focused on whatever it is that you know is coming that you're distracted from what God has for you right now. You've forgotten to pay attention to what is right in front of you. I do this more often than I'd like to admit. And honestly, I'm in a season right now where I have been doing that. And isn't that funny the way that God works, where He just is like, hey, that thing that I'm helping you get through, why don't you tell some other people about that, right? So that is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about looking up and staying focused on the mission that God has for you right now in this season, in your home, in your business, and with the people around you. So we're going to read John 4:35. It says, "You know the saying, 4 months between planting and harvest. But I say, wake up and look around. The fields are already ripe for harvest." And so this is right after Jesus had spoken with the Samaritan woman. The disciples have come back, and he is using this moment to teach them. The time for sharing the gospel is now. Even no matter how busy you are, or how many diapers you have to change, or any of those things, the gospel is important, and it is the most important thing that believers are called to do. Now, it doesn't look the same for everybody in every season, and it shouldn't. If you are, you've got littles at home, it doesn't look the same if you're a single man who can go out and do different things, right? So, my friend, don't be discouraged when I'm telling you that the gospel is important now. Remember that God has called you to the season that you're in with your family, as well as called you to the Great Commission. They're not exclusive, they work together. So, we're going to figure out how to get that into your life in this season. So, that is what we're talking about. And how does this really apply to us as mompreneurs, right? So, we are moms with young kids and we're running businesses and we got all of these things that God has called us to. He's called you to be the mother that you are. He's called you to be the business owner that you are. And He has also called you to be one of His children that is on fire for the gospel. So we are part of that mission. There's just no way around that. And it is a glorious, wonderful mission that we get to be a part of, and that you yourself have the ability to be a part of in a way that other people don't. Let's talk about your children, right? Your children are your first disciples. Well, maybe not your first. You're the first person discipling them at the very least. And so that responsibility is huge and so important and should not be forgotten. You are the person that they are getting all of their information from. And I've heard it in the past that usually when someone hears something first, that's what they believe. It's the hardest thing to like remove from their brain, right? So if you want them to be getting good information about Jesus, information of, a solid foundation of Christ, then you want that information to be coming from you and not from the world. So you are part of this mission by being the first leader to Christ that your kids have. It is so important and so amazing that we've been blessed to be able to do this. So let's talk about the next thing, right? Your business. This is a vehicle for gospel impact. Even if you're not necessarily a ministry, right? And you're not just talking about Jesus all the time, your actions, reactions, the way that you conduct yourself and you conduct your business is a gospel vessel, right? You are a Christian, and everywhere you go is part of the kingdom. And so the people around you will see that. And God will give you the opportunities to share with the people that you serve. Do not forget that your business is part of your mission, is part of the Great Commission. So even if that's you get to do like this and you're talking to people directly about Jesus, or if you are an electrician, which I don't think any of my audience is, but maybe you are, right? You're an electrician, or you make cups and sell them, or earrings, or whatever that looks like for you. you are still on mission for Jesus through that business. So, your audience, your clients, and how you write your content, how you show up online, these are the harvest fields that God has given you right now. We live in such an interesting time where it's not just the person that you meet in the grocery store. It's the person that you connect with on Zoom or go to a summit with or serve and sell the tea that you grow in your backyard to. Like, these are your mission fields. These are the people that God has placed in your life because he hasn't placed them in anybody else's. Well, maybe some, but he put them in your life for a reason. And that is important and that is serious. We often think that evangelism is a big, formal thing, but God invites us to plant seeds and gather fruit in daily conversations, consistently being encouraging, having integrity in our business, and being intentional in our parenting. This is such a big deal. But distractions are so easy to they're everywhere, right? Our phones are distractions, our businesses can be a distraction. They're important and they're great, but there's always a million things that we could be doing for our business. And we can allow that to take away from all of the important things that God has already given us to. Totally for planning. Planning is important as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a person who lives on earth. Having a plan can be a very good thing and it can be a strength. But even good things can be bad. They can be distractions. They can be not for right now. If they're pulling you away from finding out what God is doing from you right now, then they're not for you at this moment. This 4 more months thinking that came from the verse that we read, right? Thinking like, I'll share when I have more time. I'll disciple my kids when they're a little bit older. I'll be more intentional in my business the next milestone I hit. That is not the way that Jesus has asked us to live. He said, look up. The mission is now. The harvest is here. Why? So I want you to ask yourself, where are you putting things off that God has already called you to engage with? That's my question for you, my friend. Look into your life. Look and see what is happening with you right now and say, am I allowing myself to be distracted, to be discontent, to be too worried about the future, to engage in what God has already called me to? And I want you to give that to the Lord. Ask Him to help you remove it. He's there. He promises to always be with us. He's giving us wisdom as we ask. So go to the one who wants to help you. That's the God of the universe, my friend. So let's talk about a couple of practical ways that you can look up in this season. So, like I said a minute ago, this is in your mindset. We're going to trade that someday mentality, like I'll do it at some point when the next thing is hit. But instead, say, Lord, where can I serve you today? Where can I be on mission for you today? Being led by the Spirit each and every day and each and every moment. Like that is the mission. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised next year. We're not promised that our businesses will continue to be around, but we are told that God is always with us. So let's oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Let's live our lives in such a way where we're being spirit led in the moment that we're in. So trade someday for being spirit led, right? And practice contentment. Contentment or being discontent can really ruin your mission, your focus. Because if you're just looking, okay, if I could just make more money, or okay, if I could just live in that other house, or if I could just have another kid, or if these kids would just listen to me, I wish my kids listened like those kids listened, or whatever it is that is causing you to not be enjoying your life at the moment. And some things are hard, like I get that. But what I'm talking about is letting yourself go down these rabbit holes of what if, what if, what if. I wish I had something else. So practicing contentment and thanking the Lord for the things that you do have, because as you are grateful for those things, your heart will turn. It's hard to be grateful and discontent at the same time. So just say thank you for the things that you have and where you're at. It is really amazing what blessings we have each and every day. So practicing contentment can really switch that mindset um, into being able to be spirit led and focused on what God has for you in this moment. So that's in your personal mindset. Then the next way to practically do this in your home with your kids, we talked about are that you are their first disciple or yeah, that's right. I think that's right. So let's talk about some practical ways that you can be intentional with them. You're praying with your kids at times that make the most sense, right? Just use things that make sense, like right before you eat a meal, right before you go to bed, right before somebody leaves for work, right when you guys get home. Any of those things, when you see an ambulance or whatever those things look like, wherever you can fit prayer into your day, just make it part of your routine so that they know that they can be talking to God all the time. And if there's any other moments in the day where you can like say, let's pray for that person, let's pray for this situation, try to be intentional with those as well. That's something that I'm trying to do right now. We do before bed, before my husband leaves for work, before meals, like those are great. But I want my son to know that at any point he can talk to God. At any point, God is there for him. And so in the car, we can say, yeah, let's pray for that. Or, hey, is that he's still little, so like I'm not doing a ton of it yet, but I really want to be intentional in that. And so do that. Disciple them also through your tone and your presence and your priorities, right? So God, if you read the Gospels, Jesus, he was stern when he needed to be stern, but he was also very loving and kind whenever people needed it. So you know your children, and you know when you're being too harsh, and you know when they need a little bit more, right? And so you're going to disciple them through that tone, through the way you deal with discipline, and whatever that looks like for your family. And so I would just say, be remember the Gospels and remember Jesus as you do those things, the way you talk, the way you react to situations. You're going to disciple them through your presence. Are you paying attention to them? Are you focused on them whenever you're supposed to be focused on them? Or are you distracted by everything else around them? Because if they don't feel like you think they're important, then why would they listen to you? And I have to tell myself that too. Like, he will see God through the lens that he sees me and my husband. And so we want to make sure that we are, present with him when we're with him. So, and then disciple him through your priorities. Let him know that he's important and that you show up for him when you say you will, and your yes is yes, and your no is your no, and that you are being, you are discipling them through letting him learn that, when God says yes and God says no, like those are the things that there are rules, there are boundaries in life. And so that you're willing to love him enough or love them enough to have those priorities, have those boundaries, and to teach them as they move forward. Everything that we do as parents is a gospel, possibility, like to share the gospel. Sorry, I said that weird. But so that's what I'm talking about. So you can disciple your children very practically with the way you act, the way you react, the way you talk, praying with them, reading the Bible with them, just these little things. It doesn't have to be a big formal discipleship study, right? Not, no, calm it down. I'm telling myself too. All right. So also in your business, share your faith through your services, through your story, through your values, and how you treat people. Like we talked about earlier, you may not have a very like gospel mission forward business. If you're making earrings or you're selling goat milk soap or something of that mission nature, like you're not preaching the gospel, right? But you can share your story, share your values, show people Christ through the way you treat them, through your customer service, the way you act. Like we all talk about like Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A, but they're not talking about Jesus whenever they give you a chicken sandwich. But we know that they are a Christian run organization because of the way their values, their service, and how they treat people. And so like that is a good example of a Christian organization that is not, like a church. So just be aware of the way that you are serving. Um, and then, yeah. So, and then let's see. God isn't asking you to wait for the perfect season to be on mission. He has given you the mission now, and it is beautiful and it is wonderful, and it is in your home, it's in your email list, it's in your daily work, it's in your children. Your mission field is right here. You don't need this giant platform to be powerful. You need to look up and say yes to what God is already doing and what God has called you to right now. Now, my friend, what I would like you to do, because we're all about action here at the Peaceful Mompreneur, is to spend 5 minutes today asking God, where is the harvest you want me to see today? What is it that I need to be paying attention to right now? And ask Him to bring it to your mind and ask Him to help you figure out how to act on that. What does that look like for you? Because it looks different for each and every one of us. My friend, God has called you to something big. We are all part of the Great Commission, and I am so excited to be a part of it with you, my friend. All right, I will talk to you guys next time.